Hey guys, it's Luthais and welcome back. Hope you guys had a great week. And today we are going to turn back the hands of time and we are going to start with the Sultan Loot guide. Now the reason I felt this was very important is because a lot of new players struggle to find loot and get killed by a lot of geared players, and it's very difficult for an experienced player like me or many others to remember what the purposes was of the areas in the south. So what we're going to be looking at today is the areas around Sultan that you can get loot by and what kinds of loot you can get in the Sultan area. So right off the bat we're going to start at the small little cave, which I've basically just showed you the route, how to get there. And the small little cave is a bit of a lucky packet. As you can see, we're getting a wastelander here without any ammunition. So in this cave you can get a lot of vehicle parts and base parts in the boxes. And then of course it's great for rags because there are 4 sleeping bags here. But that will also be random with the amount of rags that you can get from here. But on average, the chances that you'll get at least 1 melee weapon here is good. And some parts for your base. And of course, as you can see on the side of the wall, there is some honeycomb there as well. And right off the bat, I got enough loot to make my horseshoe pack. Which is of course a great start, since your inventory space will be the first thing that you'll have to focus on. Now if we cross the river at this waterfall where you will get the cave behind you, we will go straight through to the church. And the church together with the gas station will be 2 spots where you can get quite a nice bit of ammunition. As you can see, we got a hatchet there. The reason I feel new players are struggling with loot is because you guys are joining servers which are quite populated. And the reason for that is, if somebody is in Sultan, or more than one player is in Sultan and they've already looted Sultan, then they have to be out of that area for at least 15 minutes for the loot to respawn. And at the bottom here you'll get a gun sometimes behind that desk. That's a very good gun spawn. On top of that shelf is a very good gun spawn as well. So yes, what I want you guys to focus on is to notice that if you are not getting any loot, then there should be a player in the area, or a player has been in the area within the last 15 minutes. And it will be a good decision to move to another looting location, or to just start by joining servers with between 10 to 20 people on and try and get used to the looting locations. But to save you guys the time, I will show you what you can look out for, since I've joined a server with about 5 to 10 players on. And yes, making sure that I get some loot here. And because the population is so low, most of the time the spawn points would have respawned. But the other thing I'm showing you is that when looting, like I've said in previous videos, please do not focus on everything that you can see. The world items, like the cabinets and the desks and the lockers and the boxes, anything that is searchable is a very, very good resource in the beginning, especially for guides and of course for ammunition and various other items. And there are a bunch of hidden locations which you might not think of that will probably give you a gun or 2. Now, the reason I'm starting with Sultan is because it's one of my favorite areas. And You can see there right between the garbage bags, there's a weapon spawn there. So various weapons can spawn there. Here in the corner you'll find a backpack. On the table you'll find a weapon. So yes, looking at Sultan, it's very rare that you're going to find a very powerful weapon. But the chances are quite good for you to get just something to defend yourself with. And maybe a standard gun which you can go into combat with. But the reason I love Sultan is because there's not a lot of houses to search. So you can still get that fear element of being hunted down by someone, especially on a first-person server. And you can still, you still got to control the mutants and your stealth. And the other thing is, it won't take you a lot of time to loot Sultan if you follow my tips and if you're quite focused on what you want to do and making sure you look everywhere. The houses in Sultan are not a lot, which is not the case when looking at a place like Woodhaven or Brightmoor or even Pinecrest. Okay, those three towns definitely have a lot more houses in them, so that will let you spend a lot more time looting that area. And of course, the more time you spend in an area, the higher your chances are of running into someone, you know, or yeah, getting killed. And the second reason why Sultan is my favorite area is because it's very close to the Sultan Cave, which in my opinion is the best location to get some kind of weapon. For you guys that are subscribed to me and that have been following my channel for a while, then you should know that Sultan has got a very nice spawn rate of various guns. And in my opinion, the southern part of the map is basically just there for you guys to start by getting guides like I've showed you now, because I'm searching in the cabinets. So yes, I can't emphasize that enough, guys. The items that you can search are extremely important. And in this series that I'm starting, you guys will see the amount of guides that I find. And about 70% of them are in cabinets or lockers or something that I have to search. And in some hidden locations, which is not that obvious. So yes, I haven't looted a lot in the southern areas, but like I say, I'm going to turn back time and we're going to see what kinds of loot we will be able to find. And as you can see I'm quite looted up. Got 2 guides there. I've already built a Molotov. I've got some ammunition and got some melee weapons to defend myself with. But doing this series, I'm starting to notice that the southern part of the map is made for beginning players to basically learn the basics. And there's another bridge guide there again. Yes, is to find the guides, point 1. And the other thing is to not be harassed by highly geared players, which in my opinion should be in the central or the northern part of the map, because they will find you know, players that have just as much gear as them, or is at least a challenge, instead of me tearing through a person, you know, with a Reaver or something, and he's maybe got a pistol with 1 or 2 bullets in it. As you can see, we've already found a pistol. We've got the .22, so we only need a magazine for the 9mm gun. And if I found the magazine, I would have already had a 9mm with 12 rounds. Okay, which will be more than adequate to defend myself with. Here, unfortunately, yes, guys, please, if you drop a backpack, please do it outside on a solid surface. There are some areas where things like this can happen, and you can lose everything if you swap backpacks. So please be careful of that. But yes, I'm starting to notice that the South is focused on beginning players to familiarize themselves with the game and to have that fear factor, you know, just starting out. Because I can remember when starting out, the adrenaline starts pumping if you run into anyone. And yes, the towns have got the basic resources. Most of them have got shop and saves like this, where you can find various tools and food. And one thing that I've noticed is not to be scared of your food and water supply, because it doesn't matter how much radiation you build up, you can cure it by taking anti-rad pills, which a lot of the houses do have. And of course you can go to the cave for the blue mushrooms. But the towns also give you antibiotics. And the biggest fear that you have when eating food is getting poisoned. Just showing you another weapon location there. Yeah, is the food that can maybe poison you. Now what I've noticed is that when you want to eat the food, just hover your mouse over it after you've picked it up, and it will show you what the percentages are of it, you know, poisoning you or building up your torpidity or whatever. But if you've got antibiotics on you or a healing mushroom, then you can, and you need food, then it's perfectly fine to eat that food and cure the poison immediately. Remember, poison gets cured very easily. And yes, I know I missed a few bullets there. But yes, what I've noticed is that the towns gives you enough anti-res or antibiotics to counter the negative effects of the food that might be poisoned or might be radiated. So looting properly is a very important thing, and because the Sultan Cave is there, you know, you can always go stock up on blue mushrooms and healing mushrooms first before entering the town. So as you can see, we finished with the town, and we look cool, guys. For a new player, I'd be very happy with the way I look. And I must say, clothing, one thing I've noticed is the clothing that you get is very refreshing. Me and a lot of other players are very used to just having the military gear on them with probably the best weapons. But I must say, it's very refreshing seeing the different clothes that the town supply me with. You know, just looking a bit different and feeling a bit more unique than I used to feel. And here I'm just showing you the little house that you get, and then we basically gonna go to the cave. And just for interest's sake, I threw all the loot out, and I got enough resource to make myself a torch. So we can just get that Tomb Raider vibe when we enter the cave. But as you can see, the towns do give you enough resources. It's very easy to get wood because I got a hatchet. I got a propane tank, which I can use to cook meat with. So Sultan definitely gives you enough resources to experience the game and to get enough guides if you loot properly. And I feel it's very important for you guys, especially when starting out, to play on a low pop server, because it will be your first experience with the game. I don't want you to play on an empty server, but I'd like you guys to play on a server with between 10 to 20 players on. Busy times 20 players, and on average about 10 players. So that you've still got the fear factor and you can still run into someone, but that you can spend most of your time focusing on looting spots instead of just surviving or running away or getting killed. And that's one thing that is definitely going to happen on full servers. Just giving you guys a tip here: if you've got the torch, press T to hit the mutants with, okay, or to hit someone with. If you just click like you normally click, you just put the torch out. So yes, it's still a nice weapon, and unlike a torch, it does quite a bit of damage. As you can see, we're getting the anti-rad tablets, and of course we're going to get various mushrooms inside here as well. And what I basically did is I did one round through the cave. As you can see, there's an AP85, fantastic pistol. And yes, I did one round in the cave, and then I went to eat something. Took me about 20 minutes. Came back, respawned into the cave, and all the loot respawns. So just remember that if you find an area, whether you're on a busy server or an empty server, if you find an area that's deserted and you found some cool loot there, and you'd like to do another run, just log out and come back in about 15 to 20 minutes and all the loot would have respawned. As you can see, the torch is quite powerful. So yes, guys, this is the first part of my looting guide, and I'm going to be covering every single section on the Miscreated Map. Again, just to let you guys experience how much fun this game can be and how big the map really is. What I've noticed is experienced players like myself have their certain looting routes that they always follow, and it becomes stale after a while. Luckily, I try and experience as much as I can, but if you just focus on PvP, it can get stale after a while. But if you try and loot every single section of the map, you will realize how big the map is, and if you're lucky enough, you will find some great loot that you wouldn't have found in other areas. Like if you just go to the hot zones, the possibility that you're going to get a lot of guides, is quite rare. The possibility that you're going to die is quite high. So in my opinion, for starting players, it's much better just to stay in the south until you are comfortable and until you've built a base, because one thing that I do know is that the south has got a lot of boxes and places where you can find various items for your base to make it look a bit better, and for you to get comfortable building a small base, and not really worrying about the world's best loot that you have to protect. You've got more than enough time to do that later on with a clan, and try and build up a big base where you've got a shit ton of loot to protect if you want to. But the funnest part for me is to just start exploring the map again. And like I've said, I haven't explored places like Woodhaven and Pinecrest in a long time, and very little Brightmoor. So normally when I start, I do the Sultan route and go directly to the radiation zone. But yes, in this series we're going to look at all the sections in the south, and then all the sections in the center of the map, and all the sections in the north. And I will be showing you part by part what loot you can expect to get there. As you can see, luckily we just got a nice bulldog here that spawned. So yes, guys, we're ready for action. We can kill anyone. We're gonna run into a bit of trouble if a guy takes us on with a sniper rifle and a scope, but we can defend ourselves, and we're ready for battle. after just looting Sultan once and going through the caves. So what we've learned in the first part of the series is that Sultan can give you a lot of clothing items which can make you look really cool, a lot of resources that you will need for crafting and building up a vehicle, which the likelihood is also much better on a low pop server than it is on a high pop server, because on a high pop server it's just going to be very difficult for you to run into any vehicles. But me on a low pop server, I can at least build up a jet ski if I want to. Okay, so yes guys, and then of course your gun spawns is about 20%. You can get lucky with some great weapons. But if you're excited about the series guys, click that like button. If you're not, click the dislike button. And yes, if you're new, click the subscribe button and that bell button. Love all you guys and see you next time. This was Luthais. Cheers guys.